Bohemian Rhapsody was a smash hit biopic that gave an intimate look into the life of Freddie Mercury and Queen. At least, that's what it was supposed to be. The movie got a lot of details right, but it totally failed to show a lot of Freddie's personal life, the details that made him who he was. Let's take a look at Freddie Mercury's wildest stories and find out why the Bohemian Rhapsody didn't show Freddie Mercury's wild side. When the movie achieved box office success, it fell short of its goal of showing audiences the true Freddie Mercury story. After all, they did have a limited amount of time, and Freddie had a crazy life filled with amazing stories. Here are some of the stories that didn't make it into the movie. Have you heard of the time Freddie Mercury went to the club with Princess Diana? Well, Freddie's star power got him connections with some of the most famous people in the world, including royalty. One day, Freddie Mercury was drinking with actress Cleo Rocos. They were pre-gaming with some champagne while watching reruns of The Golden Girls. Cleo and Freddie had plans to go clubbing later on, but Princess Diana was in the mood to party, and she called him up. So how could they say no? Cleo was skeptical about the paparazzi, but Freddie wouldn't pass up the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Freddie and Cleo dressed up Diana with a hat, sunglasses, and an army jacket to help her blend in, and the three went to a gay bar in South London called the Royal Vauxhall Tavern. Amazingly, instead of getting hounded by fans, Diana totally blended in. But Freddie stole the spotlight. The crowds loved Freddie, and he was in his element. If anyone ever got suspicious about Diana's identity, Freddie would swoop in and distract them. Another story that got cut was the time that Freddie Mercury also had some drama with fellow musician and bassist for the Sex Pistols, Sid Vicious. This was back in 1977, at a time when rock music was splintering into different subgenres. While Queen was igniting glam rock, the Sex Pistols were digging their heels into the punk scene, and both bands had some strong opinions about their differences in musical style. In a dramatic twist, the two bands found themselves in the same building, the Wessex Sound Studios in North London. Queen was laying down tracks for News on the World, and the Sex Pistols were recording for Nevermind the Bollocks. Vicious confronted Mercury, saying, "You're Freddie Mercury, aren't you? You're bringing ballet to the masses," and Freddie fired back. In a later interview, Freddie recalled, "I called him Simon Ferocious or something, and he didn't like it at all. I said, 'What are you going to do about it?'" Freddie then escalated the verbal war by making fun of the scratch marks on Sid's body. Freddie later felt ashamed by how rude he was to Sid, but after that, he managed his temper better. Then there was Freddie's rampant drug use. The movie showed some of his drug addiction, but it took a different angle than how Freddie actually lived. Freddie didn't see himself as this sad drug addict. He liked to party and lived life to the fullest. Freddie's friend and fellow music legend, Elton John, also dealt with drug addiction. But when asked about Freddie's drug use, Elton said, "Freddie Mercury could out-party me, which is saying something. We'd be up for nights, sitting there at 11 in the morning, still flying high." So why didn't the film accurately portray Freddie's drug use? Were there other parts of Freddie's life that the movie got wrong? Many Queen fans agree that Rami Malek and the rest of the actors did a great job reenacting Queen's best concert with their Live Aid performance, but the script didn't showcase a lot of Freddie's life, including his crazy onstage antics. Freddie would frequently go on stage in the most outlandish outfits anyone had ever seen, and his Live Aid wardrobe was one of the most normal by today's standards. During some shows in their 1979 to 1980 tour, Mercury would come on stage on the shoulders of a man dressed in a popular costume. The costume varied between Darth Vader and Superman to show Freddie's nerdier side. It was a stunt no one had seen before. Sometimes he'd be wearing almost no clothes during these stunts too. In one disastrous event in South America, Freddie donned a gigantic sombrero at a time when civil unrest was brewing, and that simple gesture caused a riot. But why didn't they include these stories in the film? Why did Bohemian Rhapsody cut out so many of Freddie's wild stage performances? Ultimately, Freddie wasn't a perfect person. He got in fights, he did drugs, he embodied all that it meant to be a rock and roll legend. Like it or not, that was Freddie. Choosing to only show the good side of him or the business side of Queen only shows part of the story, and the dark sides of Freddie the movie did show weren't exactly honest. Perhaps the biggest mistake the movie made was regarding Freddie's sexuality. It's really an injustice that the film didn't explore this side of Freddie's life. He lived in a time where LGBTQ+ people were persecuted and had fewer rights than they do today, and if they had any rights at all. Freddie was afraid of coming out as bisexual during his lifetime, and it's a shame he had to hide part of himself from the world. So, fans were upset when the film didn't accurately show that side of his life. The movie showed Freddie's loneliness, which was very real, but it heavily implied that Freddie was lonely because he was gay. Now, there's a couple glaring problems with that depiction in the movie. First, those who knew Freddie later told the world that he was bisexual, not gay. Failing to make that distinction is both incredibly insensitive to his sexual identity, and it's also a huge disservice to Freddie's legacy. How could the filmmakers mess that up? Freddie's longest partner and closest confidant for most of his life was a woman named Mary Austin. The two were madly in love even before Freddie joined Queen. When Freddie told Mary he was bisexual, she tried to insist that she thought he was gay. That misunderstanding drove a rift between them that Freddie never recovered from. The movie basically remade that same tragedy by ignoring these details. Freddie's loneliness was a true part of his life, but it wasn't drugs and it wasn't because he felt ashamed of his identity. Tragically, it was his firm sense of identity that caused his breakup with Mary. He spent the rest of his life looking for that same love, but never finding it until near the end of his life when he met his next longtime partner, Jim Hutton. Freddie's loneliness was also a product of his fame and success. Few people in the world could relate to Freddie's life, and other famous people didn't vibe with him. He met with princesses, the king of pop, famous and powerful people the world over, had millions of fans, but no one really understood him. Not even the filmmakers seemed to understand Freddie's whole life. Then, the movie also messed up the relationship of the band members of Queen themselves. The movie shows the band getting irritated at Freddie's hedonistic lifestyle, and showed them getting frustrated and out of touch with the lyrics Freddie wrote. The reality was, they were pretty much all party animals. They all lived the rock and roll lifestyle, and they were on board with Freddie's flamboyant stage presence from the very beginning. Freddie was the one who chose the name Queen to begin with. Bohemian Rhapsody also villainized Paul Printer, Freddie's personal manager. In the movie, Printer was the one luring Freddie into a life of debauchery and drug addiction that ultimately led to contracting AIDS. While Printer might have been a less than honorable guy, Freddie chose that lifestyle for himself, but that is much harder to portray in a movie. The average filmgoer wants to see a clear hero and villain. It makes the story move faster, and it helps the audience understand the plot. While this wasn't exactly a true depiction of Freddie's life, it's not as bad as the other misrepresentations. Did the writers of Bohemian Rhapsody misunderstand Freddie Mercury's life, or were they under the thumb of the same corporate control that Printer represented? Either way, the filmmakers had a chance to explore Freddie's personal life and celebrate the parts of his life that he couldn't share out of fear, but they didn't. Showing Freddie's addiction and his struggle with expressing his identity would have been a compelling story. These are the crucial details that connect Freddie's early life to the events we see in the movie. Without all the gritty details about Freddie's life, we only get a curated story. Ultimately, Freddie deserved better. What did you think of Bohemian Rhapsody's portrayal of Freddie Mercury's life? Were there any details we missed? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to see more content like this, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to catch the next one, and we'll see you next time.